Okay, campaign video number 13. Lucky number 13. So, Chris Dardzinski, candidate, U.S. Taxpayers Party, Michigan, 13th Congressional District. Please make sure you go to the website in the details below, www.leadership1776.com. Please read everything and compare it to what the other 5 candidates are offering you for the 13th Congressional District here in Michigan. So, one of my favorite topics, back to economics. Actually a very small part of economics. I'm going to say this again, and I'll say it time and time again. Economics is not simple. Yes, it is. It is one of the soft sciences, but it is not simple. Economics is very complex. It takes years of education and gaining credentials and working with economics and then studying and researching and being part of economics to understand it. Years, decades. I'm 56 years old, and it's only really within the last 10 years that I've truly become very, very comfortable with talking about many different aspects of economics. It's decades. I mean, I've lived and breathed this stuff my entire adult life. 40 plus years now. Economics is not simple. Some whistleblowers inside the Bureau of Labor Statistics released information saying that actually job reporting of job numbers is it was actually off by 818,000 over the last year. Oops. We're so sorry. We made a mistake by 68,000 jobs per month. No, that's not a mistake. That is not an error. That is manipulation of job numbers. That is reporting manipulated numbers. Actually, here at the street level, you know what we call that? We call that a lie. The people inside the government that put those numbers together and then manipulated them, and then the people that signed off on those reports, and then the people who reported those reports, they lied. They are liars. Liars. If that language is too strong for you, if that's too hardcore and too raw, please vote for another candidate. Okay? I don't have time, and frankly, America doesn't have time to not call that out for exactly what it was. That's a lie. Yeah, manipulation of job numbers. That's a very, very sugar-coated way of putting it. It's a lie. So I think about how I do this on a monthly basis when I hear the job reports come out. All right, some very basic economics here. And I've discussed this one component before because it is so critical. All right, we have a nation of 335 million. We are an open market, free enterprise capitalist society. But of course, as I've said before, we currently have a mixed economy. 10% of economic decisions is really made through federal regulations and the deep state and their immense power over the economy because of the regulations and the guidelines that they write on a daily basis. 40% is decisions that are made by the Federal Open Market Committee, the FOMC, the decision-making body of the Federal Reserve. And then 50% of the economy is the 335 million of us. Well, let's knock out babies and kids under 8 who don't make really economic decisions. So let's call that 280 million of us that are making and doing transactions daily, buying cars, buying houses, buying candy bars, buying lipstick. So, all right. So you must be at a 3% GDP, actual GDP. I got my hands up and I'm going like this, just so you know. You have to be at a 3% actual GDP so that you are creating 150,000 to 175,000 jobs per month. Now that is your baseline number of sustained replacement jobs to cover the growth, to cover the population growth of your country, of America, and the amount of retirees there are, and to have replacement jobs for those retirees and for those retiring, and for kids and young people graduating from high school and college. All right, 150,000 to 175,000 per month. That is based on 3% GDP. If you see a monthly jobs number of 200,000, this is the example I'm using in my press releases, but your GDP is 2.5%, question that number. I do all the time. Okay. Then you get down to what these numbers actually represent. So if you see a 200,000 number of jobs created in any given month, the first thing you want to look at are what are farm jobs, what are service industry jobs, and what are government jobs. Okay, let's work that backwards now. Government jobs. Okay, governments across America increase the number of positions they have. All right, so now that is paid. Those increased number of jobs, government jobs, are paid for by taxes and by the creation of debt. Let's make sure that we understand that to pay for those jobs comes directly from you and me, and from money that the Treasury Department borrows from the Federal Reserve, and debt that is purchased on the open market. Okay, so that is a slow. That has a different economic. Those jobs have a different economic weight to them, quote unquote, than, let's say, manufacturing jobs. Manufacturing jobs. An increase in manufacturing jobs is where you're actually creating wealth within the private sector. When you're creating more government jobs, what you are creating is additional tax burden and additional debt. Now, if you have a super duper growing economy and you have no debt within your government, and you have revenue coming in that is either at the cost of government programs or above, that's great. There's very few governments in America that meet that criteria. Okay, so government jobs do not hold the same economic weight as, say, manufacturing jobs. And I would also, and the other categories would be jobs within finance and jobs within capital investment. I'm separating finance from capital investment. I do believe there's a difference there. So then we get into the service industry, hotels, restaurants, bars, your big ones, barbershops, hair salons, anything of that nature where someone is providing a service for you. Now, of course, at a restaurant, you are purchasing a meal, so I mean, food is sustaining, but that restaurant has mainly service industry of waiters and waitresses and people within the service industry. That has a different economic weight to it, because a large part of restaurants is based on, for one small economic part here, but is based on discretionary income. So, and how are people paying for that restaurant meal? Are they paying for it with cash, with a debit card, which would be money that they already have on hand, or are they using a credit card, which means now they have to pay 15 to 18% interest on the meal that they just purchased? All these little details go into, and we're just talking about jobs creating and the proper reporting of jobs created. So economics is not simple. So farm jobs are seasonal, and farm jobs farm job creation and increase in farm jobs is temporary because of growing seasons. It also depends a lot on how many of those farm jobs are paid in cash. How many of those farm jobs are from legal immigrants coming over here and illegal immigrants that have come over here based on citizens that are being hired. Okay? And all the factors that goes into that. So farm jobs, service industry jobs, and government jobs, those have different economic weight when it comes to job reporting than manufacturing jobs and jobs within finance, banking, and within capital investment. All right, where when you're manufacturing something, like I said, that is more direct wealth creation. So there's different economic weights to how those things, to the amount of money, to the amount of wealth that is created, and the amount of dollars that are created throughout the economy. An increase, if the federal government increases one job, all right, that is not the same economic activity that you are creating as if you are creating a manufacturing job within the automotive industry. So, I like to look at that. This is the economic measuring. This is a measuring tool that I use. Okay. Number one, write down how many jobs on the number of reported jobs created per month. Number two, write down GDP reported quarterly. Number three, write down inflation that is reported on a monthly basis. Okay, write these things down, and do the additional research on number of farm jobs created, service industry jobs, and government jobs created. So that if you see so that in this example here, if you see 200,000 jobs created in 1 month, okay, 75,000 of those were government jobs. Well, okay, that's an additional burden upon actual economic growth. That's a lot of government jobs. And how many of those jobs created are part-time jobs? So we've lost 600,000 full-time jobs in the last 3.5 years. That's a lot of full-time jobs. Okay. So then you compare. All right, this month we created 200,000 jobs reported, but the GDP was only 2.5%. All right, I start to look at that, and that's when I start to get, okay, that doesn't make a lot of sense. All right, now if you created 250,000 jobs and there was 4% economic growth, that makes a lot of percent. That makes a lot of difference. All right, then you have your seasonal jobs, okay? When stores and Amazon and everybody hire hundreds of thousands of holiday workers, so you can get a huge increase of jobs in October and November and into December. All right, but those are temporary jobs, and those are part-time jobs. So and those jobs are going to dissipate after the first of the year. So all these little factors that goes into the jobs number. So, but I would encourage you to use that little measuring tool so that month after month, when you see an economy that's at 2.5% GDP on a quarterly basis, but you're seeing job numbers of 200,000, 250,000 being reported, I would do a lot more research into that, because again, for the size of the nation that we have, 335 million, in the free market, open market economy that we have, actually mixed economy, 150,000 to 175,000 of those jobs are sustained replacement jobs only, to cover retirees and kids and young people graduating from high school in college. So you could almost subtract that from the 200,000 and say, okay, well, of that 200,000, 150,000 at the low end is just because we are growing as a nation population wise, and we need X number more jobs within the overall economy because our population is growing. So very basic way to look at that. Come up with your own measuring tool, if you will. This is a measuring tool that I put together myself. I use it every month when I see the numbers come in. I've been using it for literally decades now, and but that 818,000, not surprised at all. And shout out to those whistleblowers. So sad that as a society we had to rely on whistleblowers to get that information out there. But if your actual number reporting goes from 250,000 and then you subtract 68,000, and now you're at 182,000 jobs actually created, off of say a GDP of 2.8%, that tells you that actually you've created maybe at best 32,000 actual jobs. Okay, that's not a lot. And I'd like to, maybe I shouldn't get into this too much here, but then the labor participation rate, we are still at about 62.5%, lower than what we were during the Great Recession. That labor participation rate, we really, really need to get that up into the high 60s and even at 70% before we have a huge technology shift, and there's reason for that number to change dramatically down. So labor participation, we have to get that up there. Okay, and that is a very brief overview of one small component of economics. Not so simple. So anyway, www.leadership1776.com. I hope this has been educational for everybody, and please, 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 please do your own research.